you don't have control. You don't want to control. You want them to be adults and work it out. And so you pray a lot and try not to react and respond. And when you do react, be quick to ask forgiveness and be vulnerable that you're not perfect. You're not a perfect person, and own those things with your kids. And thankfully, we've had some super challenging things with our kids, but they're on the other side of it now, and prayer really does work, Yeah. And God used those challenges to shape and form them, and us.
Right.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah.
But some of those challenges for all of y'all, I mean, it kind of feels like, are they ever going to end? Do we ever get out of this? I'm up here talking like I know what a mom acts, feels like. But really, I mean, as a parent, you feel like, man, this seems like a long challenge, but really staying in it, right, and not giving up. Part of, as a parent, as a mom, I imagine, our hope is that our kids will have a relationship with Jesus, and that's our prayer, and that's what we really want, right? And so much of, especially as they're younger, so much of that comes from even them model or watching us model Jesus to them, which can sometimes be tough, right? Are there ways that that's worked for you, that you've done that really? Are you seeing it work for you in your life? Jill, go for it.
I think for us, if y'all have heard me or Josh ever talk, we talk about community all the time. And just having people that are also pursuing the same thing, pursuing Jesus and pursuing, healthy families and healthy marriages and healthy kids, like having that community has been so vital for us, because you can't do it by yourself. Like, it really does take a village, as cheesy as that is. Like, it's so true. And on days when I am done and want to tap out, it's, hey, please can we go to the park? Or whatever it is. It's just having that community around you. And they see us talking about Jesus on whatever night we go to life group, and they see us making that a priority. So that's probably the main thing for us. But also, my kids, we don't play anything pretty much but worship music in the car, because it's just, that's how we start our day in the morning. I'm like, let's start with Jesus. And because it's early, you get up and you got to go, and it's hurry, and it's hard to do the morning quiet time in the season of life that I'm in, especially with my kids. So in the mornings, we start with Jesus in the car. And that's
great.
It's important to us, and that's an important way to start and get our minds right. And yeah, so that's kind of what I do.
No, that's awesome. That's great. What about the rest of the other y'all?
For me, just really living what I say I believe, not just saying you have to come to church on Sunday and Wednesday. That's important when they're really young. Our kids always were with us wherever we were, but living it at home. I can remember when they were, younger, and I would say, Mom's going in to pray. I'm, shut my door. If you come in, you pray with me, so they would be like, they knew that was Mama's time, to pray. But, I'd turn my worship music up. They knew. So just really living it and being honest, when you're weak, saying it, and when you're struggling, saying it. Let's pray together. Or, we would talk a lot about dreams. What did you dream last night? God speaks through dreams. Let's talk. So it's real normal for our kids to share their dreams with us and talk about it, or prophecy, or those kind of things. So, just living it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I agree. I think of when our boys were little, and just doing serving or loving God and loving people is important to us. And so we did that with them and took them, like what you're saying, took them wherever we were to be with people. And I think that is setting an example for them, that it's cool as teens. I see them doing without us too, caring for people. And I think too, when I got this question, I thought of, have you heard that phrase, they did the best with what they had, or something like that?
You just made a new phrase. That's awesome. Go for it.
I think it is.
That's a great phrase.
They did the best with what they had. And I think that's what we do as parents. We do the best with what we have. But then when we recognize that what we have isn't enough, we're seeking Jesus for the more. And I think about our series we just had of I need more. You realize with teens, I need more. It's not just meeting the physical needs of, it is feeding still, but it's recognizing the emotional needs that are there, and then even I know for me recently, has just been recognizing the lack, and Jesus, will you grow this emotional capacity in me to love my children well, and to love my husband well, and to teach them. And I think by me entering into that process with Jesus, that they see that imperfectness too, and recognizing and saying, hey, I don't do these things well, taking ownership and asking forgiveness. And they're so gracious to forgive when we are just honest and vulnerable with them. And
And that's been a challenge, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a part of you that says, don't be vulnerable, because they will overtake the castle, right? And you kind of, because sometimes you don't feel like you know what you're doing, that you kind of just feel like, I got to just fake it till I make it. Which, there's some days you have to wake up and just kind of figure out. But there is something about being vulnerable and owning your stuff to your children. And, I mean, it's kind of changed your relationship with them, huh?
Yeah, totally. I think that there's something that moves from, like, when you're in this phase, I remember, like, I felt so somewhat in control. You control a lot of stuff. And as your kids get older, you recognize, like, oh, you're releasing control. Like, you're continuing to turn them over to Jesus. And I'm not doing it. And so it's like, okay, I need to be more patient. I need to be, when I'm recognizing the things in me that need to change or grow, then I can be, with the help of Jesus, less irritable and less easily angered and less critical and, more kind and more compassionate and encouraging and empathetic. So, yeah.
And it kind of changes every season, right? Like the needs, Jill, that you're having with your kids are different than with you and the boys, and even different as you have adult kids, How has your parenting kind of changed through the seasons, especially as they get to make more of their own choices and own freedoms, and sometimes you have to watch that unfold? How have you had to adjust or whatever? What's it look like for you? Alicia, you go first.
Well, Christine pretty much nailed it on. I mean, really, when they're young, it's like, it's all about laying groundwork and values and character training and just teaching discernment, those kind of, like, that's bad, that's good, and you're telling them what these things are. And we worship Jesus, and this is why, and we're coming here, and and you just are leading them. So there's a lot of control in that, even though I don't really like that word. It is true. But then the older they get, there's some overlap in the teen years. You're still wanting to guide them in the right way, but you're letting go more. And when they're adults, you're completely letting go and saying, you're flying the nest, So it does change your parenting style a lot, and that can be tricky in those transition times, But, yeah, I think giving Jesus more, trusting him, just like he met me when I was in that age, he is so faithful to meet them in that, and knowing that you've done the best you can with what you have, and you've planted seeds, and they are going to bring forth good fruit. You may not see it this moment, but it will return a good harvest. So
yeah. That's true. What about the rest of y'all? How has it changed, even as your kids have grown?
I mean, mine are still pretty little, but just even sending Jude, our son, off to school, when they're home, you're like, you can play with them, you can't play with them, or they're gonna come over to our house instead. And just, you do have that control, but when they go to school, it's like, I don't even know who you're hanging out with, or who you're trading Pokemon cards with, or all of the things that they do. And so for me, like, having to ask really good questions, because Jude's not the one to, he talks a lot, but like about Pokemon cards and not about who he is friends with. And so having to kind of pull those, just kind of pull more of like, okay, well, who do you hang out with? Who do you sit with at lunch? And just kind of getting a little bit more information out of him is not something I've had to do. And I'm not the best question asker. So I'm having to kind of learn, like, okay, if I want to really know him, I'm going to have to ask really good questions, because he's not going to just give me the answer all the time. So that's something I'm kind of learning and doing right now as he is in school.
That's so important, right? Because if you don't ask questions, and even learning that when they're young, you could miss out on years of who they are, and it is hard, 'cause especially when we don't feel like we're the best at it, maybe, or whatever the need is, like you were naming, like, oh, I'm not good at this. It's where like, Jesus, I need some help here. Jesus, can you teach me how to ask questions? Because I'm not great at it, right? What about you? So as the boys have kind of grown and...
Yeah, I think you're on a good start, because that's what I feel like in the teen years, it's just it's more asking rather than telling. Like we've taught them the foundation stuff, and so now it's for them to choose, and they have consequences to their actions, and so they learn from those more than from mom or dad telling them the stuff. So just asking more questions is really, I think, a good thing to do. And then also knowing when to stop asking questions, because they look at me like, enough, stop. So you got to know that too, or take their cues.
Yeah. And I think part of that, was it hard to change? Like sometimes you're like, oh, I know we talked about our boys who are taller than us now, and they're big, and you kind of miss the old days, but then you realize, oh, they're changing, and you also have to change, and you kind of have to be willing to do that, because it seems like if you're not, then you'd be trying to parent an adult the same way that you're parenting a teenager or a parent, or worse, so it really takes us letting the Holy Spirit speak. And so I like to say us up here, like this, like I'm one of y'all, so hey, so here's a question. So as a mom, what do you need? Listen, hey, people, if you have something to write with or take notes, husbands and sons and all the rest of you, I'm trying to help you out, right? Because honestly, that video, the intro video, it listed all the things that you do, right? And it's a cute video but really the things that moms do is almost immeasurable sometimes, and often taken for granted, and so often unseen. The reality is, moms, if you're a mom in here, so much of what you do is unseen, because you do it what the scripture says, do it to the least of these. That is who you're serving, right? Like you're serving these kind of ungrateful people sometimes, right? And these people who just they feel entitled or expect and all that stuff. And so just to even kind of wrap up, but so what do you need? Like as a mom, what would be helpful?
I have 2 answers.
Well,
is that okay? I'll do it quick.
You're the boss.
Okay, this is a quick little story. When our family was at Buc-ee's on the way to the hunting lease, and we were walking ahead, the boys, we come out and they get their drinks, and we're walking back out to the truck, and I turn around, and all 3 of them are 2 boys, teens, and Jake are steps ahead of me, and I got a little bit, that evening I talked to Jake, and I got a little teary, and I'm like, hey, I feel like you all are just leaving me. And they were just being...
We were going hunting.
Together.
We were on a mission.
They were just being
focused.
together. But I feel like in that time, it was just a thing of my boys are looking to their dad to become young men. And there is a place of they are leaving their mama. Not leaving me, but in a way of emotionally letting them go. And so I had to say, hey, can you stay back so that y'all walk with me, And he got that. And part of it is just an emotional thing for me. And that's just a place of being an encouragement to me of, you're still with me, and even though you're not with me all the time, that emotionally you're with me. That's a...
So it's about being feeling seen, being seen. Is that what you kind of...
Yeah.
So what's your other answer?
The other answer is to look for people who are a little bit ahead of me in parenting, so I can go to them for advice and just listen to their stories and how they do this parenting thing, and what can I learn from them, because they are a few steps ahead of me, and it's super helpful. So. And
you've done that, like Lynn and Stan years ago.
Yeah.
Let's share that story.
Oh, we're doing a life group and with other couples, and we were all in this parenting, Jill's stage at the time, and young kids, and we were like, what? And
we don't know what we're doing.
we don't know what we're doing. But you find people and families that you, just like you do with marriages, like who you're like, oh, I want to be more like this, or I admire this, or how did you get this way? And we went to them, and they came and gave us little tips. They were like, we can do this. And so they gave us tips on how they parented, really, and we could just take from it what we wanted. But it was really sweet that they took time to share with a handful of young families, and people are happy to share their stories. So, yeah. And there's tons of people who we've gleaned from over the years.
And I'll say you've done that really well for me too. Like Christina's one that I was thinking on the way up here, I was like, I feel like the least of these up here just because I admire these two so much. But yeah. But I think for me, Jake told us not to get too sassy up here because he's kind of like the big brother
I had to draw
me.
some lines. I'm like, hey, don't. No, I'm just kidding.
But no, especially in the stage I'm in, there's just so much to do. Like, there's so many activities and school functions and sports and all of the things. And I think for me, it's really the marriage piece, like, is a really big deal. And like making sure that we're on the same page. Like if we're on the same page, everything goes so much smoother.
Sure.
And it's simple things. Like Wendy will be so proud. I coined a phrase this weekend. I was like, don't step over the dirty laundry. Like, there's simple things. So she's like, I don't do that. And I'm like, I know, but it's the point. Like, don't ignore the things that are so simple that you can do to help.
Yeah.
And like a story, we had a friend the other day tell a story about her husband she has 3 little kids, and he was getting ready for work. And, she's like, okay, we got to, and she named all the things she had to do. And he was just getting ready for work. And one of the things was like, oh, I still have to get the stroller in the car. It's this big, massive stroller because she has 3 kids, and she's not a very big person. She's like, it's hard to do. When she has a little baby, she has to put in the car. And so she was rushing around trying to get out, and she went outside, and her husband had put the stroller in the car. Yeah. And she was like, I sat in the car, and I was just like, thank you. Like, it was just like the biggest deal in the world, but those are the things. Like, those are the things that I need. I need you to pick up the clothes and put them in the hamper. It's just the little small things that make such a big difference, and you don't even realize until they happen. And you're like, that is what I needed. Because I don't always know what I need. But, so that was, for me, that's the biggest thing.
It's so practical, right? Yeah. And so easy. So, Alicia, what about you? As a mom, would you say this is what you need?
I love family time, spending time with my kids. I love those times, so having those regularly scheduled on the calendar, I need that. I love it. However, I have discovered space to discover and enjoy the things that are in my heart, because I am a mom, but I'm way more than a mom too, and I'm made to do creative things or things that I enjoy. And so space to do that, I need that. And community, you said that earlier, community peers that I'm going to grow old with. I have a lot of those in this room. It's happening. It's starting to happen, and that we're growing old together. And because I love my kids and they're my friends, I can say that. I'm not just their parent, I'm their friend now. At this age, we're friends. But they're not. I don't want to depend on them for friendship for the rest of my life. I want to have peers that I grow old with and hang out with.
Wait, say that one more time.
Yeah.
Wait, no, because sometimes as parents we're like, oh, this is my buddy for my whole life.
Yeah.
But that's not always the most healthy interaction, right?
Right.
So you said that you don't want to depend on them.
Yeah, to be my only friends. I want to have peers. And I learned that here, I have to say. When we first came to New Hope, we're both kind of introverts, and we had each other and our kids, and that's happy. We're good. We got our community right there. We're good. We don't need anyone else, really. And that's what we thought until we came here and started learning relationships are so important. And, we heard that
Don't say it like that. You don't have to say it like that. You can say it like you believe it now,
and I
Alicia.
didn't believe it at first. I thought, that's nice. That's good for ratings. But it really is, it really is so crucial and true. And now we do have friends that their friendship is so vitally important to us, and our kids aren't going, wow, mom and dad are desperate for us to come over again, they're pulling on us again. No, they can have their own life, thank you, and we have ours.
Yeah.
And it's good, but we love being with them, but we're not dependent on their friendship. Yeah.
That's so good. So helpful. And that's the thing that you get in your season of life, right? Like that, Jill, in your season of life, it's hard to believe that one day you're going to have space. I know, not right now when you wake up and they're sleeping on top of your head and stuff, So thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for sharing your story and your journey, and y'all are great. Thank y'all. All right. Well, here's Natalie. Natalie's ready. I guess Natalie's just ready to shut me down. So, all right. Hey, thank y'all so much. And Natalie's going to wrap us up. So.
Sorry, I was thinking you were finished. Do you want to come back up for real? Oh, goodness. Isn't it good to be in community? You can give each other a hard time and go with the flow, and everything is great. Well, we're so thankful that you've joined us this morning. And I would just want to encourage you guys, if you're in a season like one of these ladies, find them in the hallway and just say, hey, I see you. Or ask them a question, and maybe you guys can help each other. We also have a parent resource wall back here in between our youth and our elementary wing back here. There's resources for you as an adult and for parenting of all different stages, and even some devotional ideas for your kids. So be sure to check that out as well. And if you would like to partner with us, to link arms with us in what we're doing here in Wiley, here in this church body, and in places all around the world, we would love for you to join us in that by visiting the Giving tab on our website. And if you're new here, don't forget to check the connection table out front. And for those of you who'd like to know more about who we are as New Hope, we have Discovery 101 coming really soon, so be sure to get on the events tab and get signed up for that. And until then, you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time. Happy Mother's Day.